Hello,
Hey,
Joe.
Senior Brad.
What's up, man?
Yeah, hey, good weekend, man. I didn't really do too much work, but damn, liking this price action.
Yeah, it's a happy day. Happy days.
I
Where
was
are we
trying.
right now?
I'm gonna pop up Binance real quick. I think I thought I saw 31.50 somewhere earlier on ETH, and I think BTC was still hanging above 41 something, 41.50. Oh no, shit, BTC's at 43.7. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
I saw 43.5 earlier. So,
Yeah, Ethereum's at 31.27. And of course, everybody's speculating about why this is. I did find some people talking, and a lot of, aside from all the stuff we usually talk about, it seems like that Crypto Fair Transaction Act or whatever that's coming out of Congress right now, or that somebody just wrote, I can't remember, that the no reporting on transactions less than $200.
yeah.
The speculation is that's the thing that was blocking widespread adoption of the
Huh.
use of tokens in payments, because they were all trying to figure out, when you go and buy the I don't know, pick it, Anchor backup battery somewhere with crypto for $40, or you do any microtransactions, that everyone's a tax reporting event like we talked about.
Exactly.
And now they're saying that the sentiment is that with that bill or that rule in place, that it's just opening the floodgates for user adoption. So, once the DeFi, once all the tools or the friendly user interfaces and things like that are in place for people that aren't technical to do crypto, now that you don't have a reporting requirement on microtransactions or small transactions, it just opens up another avenue to massive user adoption.
Makes sense. Makes total
It's
sense.
one opinion, but there's others, of course.
Well, I'm glad to hear it, and I'm glad to see the price action.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't be a week in DeFi without some controversy. So this came up this weekend. And
Wait, what?
So this guy Brantley Milligan is the director of operations at ENS, which is the Ethereum naming service. So
Yeah.
like look at his name, Brantley.eth. I have B05crypto.eth. And in 2016, he tweeted. So he's like one of the biggest delegators for ENS. So a bunch of people gave him their votes and all this stuff. In his profile, it says that he's Catholic. Like that's the first word in the guy's profile, right? And so this tweet was found from 2016. Homosexual acts are evil. Transgenderism doesn't exist. Or abortion is murder. Contraception is a perversion. So is masturbation and porn, right? Now, I, of course, took offense to the last line, but I guess I'm going to fucking hell. So what you would expect from something 6 years ago, right?
Yeah.
Is what the fuck are you digging this shit up? This was 6 years ago. He was young. He was immature. Blah, blah, blah. No, Brantley doubled down.
Really?
Brantley's like, I'm a Catholic. This is how I feel. This is what I believe. And so some folks came to his defense and said, we're supposed to be inclusive. This is DeFi. We're supposed to be, the inclusive community, and we don't care what you are, what you believe. And everyone was kind of like, really? You're using inclusiveness for a guy that says, contraception, masturbation, and porn are perversions, basically damned to hell by God, and homosexuals are committing acts of evil. So the mob attacked this weekend, and he was not canceled from the perspective of, I don't think he gives a shit that people were criticizing him. I think he's like so hardcore in his Catholic beliefs that he doesn't give a shit. But his delegation powers were removed, and
Wow.
he was removed as director of operations of ENS and is no longer working for the company at all behind ENS. So, another day in DeFi is as we like to expect. There should be some controversy and craziness that comes up from it.
I just got a message from
Chuck says, of course, he says nothing about pedophilia.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I guess that's not homosexuality or something.
Yeah,
What
we're
the
not going
hell,
to
man?
touch that. We're not going to
Yeah.
touch that one if we're Catholic. No.
Yeah, well, look, I'm Catholic, and I mean, but I don't go to church or anything. And there is a very right wing fundamentalist aspect of the
Sure.
Catholic religion. I mean,
Yeah.
think Inquisition, think all that kind of stuff. Proselytizing, forced conversion, everything you could possibly think of. But then there's a lot of people like me that just kind of try to take the golden rule out of all of that and just try to be a decent person and be tolerant. So I don't want to, this isn't like anything we're saying that all Catholics think this way. This is just something he's obviously on the far, far right. I mean, I could see some of the people I know, actually a little bit older than me, if that's possible, that would probably agree with that, but wouldn't say it. I don't know about the last line, but it's not like they watch porn, but I mean,
Well,
so
here's the thing.
But it's intolerant, That's the thing.
Yeah, here's the thing is it is intolerant. And he had an opportunity just to say, hey, look, I care about everybody. I'll work with anybody. And he actually made kind of similar statements to that, hey, I've never allowed my Catholic views to influence the people I'm willing to work with, etc., which is good. I'm glad he said that. But he just basically said, I still believe all these things. I think it's a matter of, look, there are a lot of people in this world that disagree with my points of view on religion and God and everything else, and that I disagree with them and they disagree with me, but we're quite capable of working together, and we have enough sense that we don't say shit like this out loud that would make people that are supposed to be in your community feel welcomed, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you're a leader. Your job is to lead. So I think that on one hand, you have to say, well, at least he stands by his convictions. But on the other hand, you would think that maybe you would just say, tone it down a bit and say, look, I was young. I was extreme. I have no problem working with people. I was drunk, whatever. And so I'm a little bit torn on this one. I don't like people to lose their jobs, but I also want them, if a mob is attacking, I want them to be put in a position of thinking through their actions, right? For whatever the thing may have been. In this case, he's not going to think through his thoughts, his belief system, because this is what he believes. So it's a real interesting dynamic thing. I think the thing that's most interesting to me about it is how we function. This is a DAO, right? Mm-hmm. How does the DAO function? Well, the members of the DAO have spoken pretty loudly that they don't want him to be a part of it.
Yeah.
And so it's a really interesting thing. The other side of this is if you go to his Twitter feed, like this guy has been cranking and building open standard tools and contributing to Ethereum and decentralization at a massive scale, right? He's an important player from a technology perspective. So it also makes you think about, okay, do we eliminate people for their beliefs or things they say, even though they are providing us with valuable components of the decentralized ecosystem? And it's weird. It's a weird position to be in.
Yeah, no, but look, if you're the venture or the enterprise, he's alienated so many potential customers here. I mean, he takes out gay people in the first one, then trans people, then women, or a big chunk of women at least.
Yeah.
A pro-choice versus pro-life. And then contraception is just so right-wing dogma. I mean, in Catholic, it's just, it's not, I mean, it's anti-family planning and all of that stuff. So no, it's just about making more babies and that's it. And then the whole masturbation and porn, to keep freaks from attacking women and stuff, and, and other couples watching porn. I mean, what's the big deal there? I don't, I think it's a mistake, but I think he should have mea culpa, because this, it's kind of when you were showing this, and I don't want, we're not trying to attack any of these groups. It's just more of, I was thinking about the Joe Rogan stuff or whatever his name is, and his using the N-word, and they're deleting all those episodes. And I started thinking, why does any white person think that they should use that word?
Exactly.
I'm like, I know that it's been popularized in hip hop culture, and people use that word, and there's differentiation between whether it's a hard R or not. But I'm just going to tell everybody, I'm not really comfortable with anybody using that word. And I think that because then suburban white kids, teenagers, are then running around using that word thinking they're cool. And
well,
then they use it in the wrong place and they get their ass kicked.
Here's the thing about Joe Rogan. I think Joe Rogan adds to the conversation of people in this community, not crypto in general, the world, because he brings in people with crazy different viewpoints, right? And I also remember that Joe Rogan was first a comedian, right?
He was a wrestling guy too. He was like
Yeah.
the United Wrestling Foundation or whatever it's called.
But so I think that most of those instances of him using that word were him trying to be funny and not saying it in a derogatory fashion. I haven't examined all of it. The one that really bothered me, and he tried to discuss it in that video he put out the other day, was the Planet of the Apes one, where he went into an all-black neighborhood and said he felt like he was in the Planet of the Apes. And that one to me,
that crosses the line.
That's over the line. Anyway, it's not our place here. I'm not here to try to judge the situation. For me, this particular instance of Brantley and ENS is really interesting from the perspective of a DAO, right?
Yeah.
How do we operate from the perspective of people who are providing technology value? I guarantee you there are a lot of people out there that I've worked with in the past that are brilliant developers that, had they disclosed to me their personal views, I would have been put in a position of saying, wow, I'm not real comfortable with you. Right. But those things were never discussed. Is that a good thing, a bad thing? I don't know. But at the end of the day, we are now probably going to lose the contributions of someone who has unbelievable technical prowess and who obviously is doing a lot to move DeFi forward. But at the same time, we're getting rid of someone who is probably toxic to a lot of the people. And a lot of the people that came out against him are people that are gay who have worked with him. Yeah. And we're like, dude, I can't believe this crap. You know, you and I were friends, we're buds, blah, 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 blah. How could you say that about me? And I can't put myself in those shoes.
Well, one other thing, it's the same thing I tell my daughter. Anything you put out there on social media is there forever.
Yeah.
So be very careful what you put out there. It comes back and it'll haunt you in college application processes. It haunts you in your employment later. It never goes away. So I don't know if this Brantley guy put any other messages out, if that's his one-off message. You know, maybe he got dumped by his girlfriend, or maybe something happened and he was pissed off and he just took it out on the world. But the thing is, the response, you know, you have to mea culpa it. Even I mean, I'm not a big Joe Rogan. Well, I'm not a fan of Joe Rogan at all, but, you know, at least he tried to mea culpa it. And, you know, honestly, it made me think about half the shit I say on this show. And
please. Of course.
I'm like, what's this going to look like in 10 years?
Yeah.
You know, and I'm like, you know, so you have to be careful. But I think, in my heart, I believe everybody's equal. Everybody can do what they want. Yeah. I don't look down on anybody. I mean, I look down on everybody, but nobody, you know.
Well, I'll tell you what, Joe, I'm pretty much a centrist at this point in my life. But when I was younger, you know, early internet days and George Bush was president, there's probably some shit out there that I posted that I don't really want. And I'm praying has kind of been archived away in the world because I was pretty left. You know, I was really left-wing dude. So, you know, I definitely think we all have to think about that. Anyway, Chuck said a leader in a trustless environment like a DAO has to trade on reputation. This demonstrates poor judgment, period. Cancel culture, groupthink aside. It's an unwise move. Totally agree, Chuck. Totally agree. And I think that's what Joe was saying. Mea culpa is required. So anyway, real quick, one more little bit of controversial thing. A reporter for BuzzFeed News doxed the founders of Bored Ape Yacht Club for no other reason except she decided that it was important to her to do that for her story, while trying to make it sound like there's something very dangerous about people who are anonymous. And this is something that I think is going to have to be dealt with in the world. But here's the problem. I think that somebody like, I have no idea what Katie's age is or anything else, but I will tell you that children today, kids today, teens today are quite used to pseudonymous identities. Mm-hmm. It is a part of their culture. It is a part of how they exist, and they have zero problem with it. And they have zero problem with a meritocracy. So this whole old school, we can't have anonymous people running things, bullshit is bullshit. Now, if the guys who had found Bored Ape Yacht Club had rugged people it would be a different story.
Yeah.
But they did nothing wrong and didn't really deserve it. And now she has made them, potential
Targets.
created a potential attack vector for them because they have a lot of money, right? And so now she has left them open to potential problems.
Attacks, physical, thefts, hacks, whatever.
Yep.
I mean,
Yep.
regulatory people, everything.
Exactly.
Most of these people are anonymous because these communities are so rabid that if something goes wrong, there's going to be 20 people at their front door.
Exactly.
And so it's not, or they're going to be targets of organized crime types to come and take their stuff. So that's it's not about rug pulls and that kind of thing. It's more about, self-preservation at this point.
Exactly. So anyway, I got the two controversies out. What you got? You got anything you want to talk about right away?
Yeah, I did see, I'll go with a couple of verbals. I saw Kate, well, I'll share it. Okay. I got a couple of good things here. Share screen. Saw some, I don't know why that's flickering. Hold on.
Oh.
Stop share. I'll just talk. That KPMG in Canada has added Bitcoin and Ethereum to its corporate treasury, which I thought was pretty interesting.
That's phenomenal. I hadn't heard that.
Yeah, it's over on newswire.canada.ca. KPMG in Canada adds Bitcoin and Ethereum to corporate treasury. Worth taking a look at. I also saw something on Tesla's BTC holdings. And there's from Blockworks. In the first quarter of 2021, we invested an aggregate $1.5 billion in Bitcoin. The fair market value of our Bitcoin holdings as of December 31st was $1.99 billion. And I think they sold 10%, I heard from someone else. So, up 33% on the year, a quick half B for Tesla. So they're not really dumping. And that's kind of what I was looking at and waiting to see when they buy. But that's year end 2021. I saw a couple other things. There was a great article on in Decrypt on 13 rising stars in crypto from February 5th. It's about a 7-minute read. I recommend taking a look. It's got the people in there from, let me see. Oh, they got everyone. Dow Whisperer, Chase Chapman, Kobe, podcaster, Marguerite de Courcelles, Metaversal Talent, Farouk, Radio Flyer, Francis Hogan, Facebook Defector. Okay, that's good. I was getting ready to trash Facebook for a second. Izzy Howell, DeFi Storyteller, some blockchain alchemists, Joe Lau and Nikhil Viswanathan, Jack Mallers, Strike Thrower, Yasuki Masuda, Blockchain Games Convert, Erican Obatakudo, Audacious Venture Capitalist, Osanachi, a Nigerian NFT artist, and Sam Williams of Dream AR Weaver, and Amy Wu of a Web3 gamer and VC Hall of Famer. So it's a good article. You want to see who the movers and shakers are in DeFi. I recommend taking a look at that. And then I got a bunch of other stuff on, just about the U.S. considering the digital dollar again. Tron, Justin Sun's accused of a governance attack on DeFi lender Compound. They're tracking his wallet.
Listen, let me just tell everybody, don't trust anything that guy does.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. If he's an investor in TUSD, I'm out. I'll never use that token. And that's because I did an episode interviewing the original people that were involved with Steam when he came in, basically stole that protocol and then negotiated in bad faith with all of the community. And they actually ended up better off because they went and forked into Hive and created a growing ecosystem. But he basically is an enemy of decentralization. He's an enemy of, community. I just, and this has been my experience. Now, I will tell you, I invited him to come on the show and he ignored it to tell his side of the story. So right now, all I have is the side that I know, and the side that I know from articles that I've read in my 3 hours of interviewing people that were involved in the process and negotiated with him is I wouldn't trust him, take out my garbage. So, I'm not
a fan either.
So anytime I see him doing something or investing in something or promoting in something, I know for me personally, my own personal opinion, I'm out. I'm not going to be.
Yeah. I've never been a big fan of his. I remember all this stuff going on in 2018 about him. But also, he's he's in a rock and a hard place too with the Chinese government. So,
Yeah.
and their centralization focus. So just like they, went after Jack Ma or whatever, the Alibaba guy. I mean, they've dragged him in too. So, but you don't want exposure to any of that, whomever he's beholden to, who his bosses are. Because trust me, he has bosses.
Oh, yeah.
And then I saw something else. There's another article about the U.S. stock market. Oh, you switched. I'll just finish this one up and you.
Yeah, go ahead.
The liquidity they're saying it's abysmal, adding to volatility risk. There's just not a lot of exit liquidity supposedly in the market right now. A couple of people are saying, I don't know if that's accurate, but that's why there were those big 25% corrections in, Facebook, Netflix, and all of those guys last week, was people got spooked and dumped and there wasn't enough liquidity to not tank the price. Yeah. As they say, slippage was high. A little bit of news that I don't know really follows the Bitcoin family. I certainly don't, but I saw an article how they immigrated to Portugal for its 0% tax on cryptocurrencies. No cap gains, no nothing. As long as you're not doing
for personal, not business. Business is taxed.
Yeah, but not a lot actually. It's a kind of small amount. I was pretty surprised.
Really?
It was
because that's one of the ones on my list.
Yeah, Portugal. No, I've been to Portugal a couple times. Super.
Never been there.
Fun place down in the Algarve. I was on Sagres and what was it? Albufeira? I think I don't know if that's Portugal or Spain, to be honest, but they're all on the bottom. And then Porto above Lisbon is a great place.
So it seems like everybody I've ever met that went to visit there that's in crypto decided to move there.
Yeah.
And I've met like 4 or 5 different people who are like, okay, I'm moving here. This is perfect.
Yeah. The problem for Americans though is that you're still going to be taxed here.
Yeah. Well, you've got to basically start a path of citizenship, right? And that's like probably a 5 to 10 year period.
Well,
but they do have a visa program for it.
But you have to renounce U.S. citizenship,
of course,
to not get taxed, and then pay an exit penalty.
Yeah. Well, on any given day, that's not hard for me to imagine doing. So.
So it was they talk about the golden visa. It's a great article. It's on CNBC.
Okay.
And then there was one other thing I was going to, I'll get back to these later, some more in-depth stuff when my screen shares properly. But
Kobe has another, I didn't realize how good his writing was until the last few months when he's just so awesome at explaining things. And he just posted another piece yesterday or last night called 3-3. And essentially, it's a primer. Well, it's a warning and a primer, and it's addressing kind of the idea of VCs in DeFi, right? And thinking about what their motivations are, and understanding and figuring out which ones are good actors and which ones are bad actors, right? And he really gets into, what I love about it is he really gets into the details of how the different types of VCs are thinking about it, right? So the ones who come in who are locked up, who don't care about being locked up and actually prefer to be locked up on their tokens because they're there to partner with the project. They're there for the long haul. Versus the ones who get 20% of their tokens out of the gate and know that when the launchpad sale happens, that they can dump on that market and get a 50 or 100x over their investment no matter what, right? So you invest 50 grand, you can clear let's just say you clear 5x, 250 grand, and you're done inside of a few weeks. And then you can let the rest of the other 4/5 of your investment ride, right? Anyway, this is a great piece about thinking about the incentives of people. When you're coming into a project, if you're joining at the launchpad stage, you're going to get dumped on. You need to determine whether the project's going to be able to kind of come out of that and bounce back from the fact that the sleazy VCs were in. And that's kind of part of the due diligence you have to do on a project now is who are the investors that are in this, and are they the ones we can count on, right? Are they the ones that we can trust to stay with a project for the long term and have a kind of the old school VC time horizon of 5 years or 10 years, right? Versus the ones who are here just to dump, get their money out, make their cash, and then they don't give a shit about the rest of the tokens they have anyway. When the vesting schedule happens, they'll dump those every time they get another 20%. So really good piece. Highly recommend it. It's Kobe.substack.com, Cobie. And this particular article is Kobe.substack.com/P/33. So I encourage everybody to check it out. It just really makes you think about, we often ape into projects and we see APYs or we see an opportunity on a launch pad or to get in early on a sale in some way because we know somebody. It doesn't matter how early we got in. There's almost always somebody that got in earlier, right? And so what you've got to know is, what are their incentives? What are their motivations? What are they able to do? Are they able to dump on you in 2 weeks? And is the project going to be capable of recovering from that dump if they are? So it was a really good piece. I love when he writes, man. And he just does a great job of synthesizing things and talking through them. So highly recommend everyone go read this for some really great lessons for when you're trading.
Yeah, that sounds good. I was just looking at at Ben Lilly's stuff just to see if there's anything new. He hasn't written anything since January 15th. So
wow.
The last one, which is definitely an article worth reading, the macro cycles one, Ben Lilly, because it talks about euro dollar inflation forecast. But he's usually more prolific. I'm waiting to see what these guys say next.
Yeah, right. Real quick, I saw an article, this tweet thread posted, which I love because I'm always talking about you don't have to be a developer to make money in DeFi and to be a part and to contribute. This one does a great job of just kind of putting together some use cases for things you can do. Write an explanation of protocols. So gives a couple of examples of people that have written explanations of protocols. Write intern notes/summaries of podcasts. Share your opinions and thoughts on protocols and projects. Be an aggregator of content. Write proposals for protocols so you can help write proposals for projects that want to do integrations. You can write proposals and get grants for ideas that you have for a protocol. Contribute to a DAO. So all kinds of things, marketing, biz dev, support that you can do. Nice little thread. I'll post it up I'm going to retweet it right now and you can see it on my wall. So Olympus DAO, Olympus Pro, recap for January 2022, 850,000 in revenue into the treasury, and that's all on fees. So again, this is a project that is constantly building, constantly growing. The Olympus Pro bonding is something that's incredibly attractive to projects. Alchemix is deep in it, building up a lot of their treasury, so they're not dependent on yield farming and LPs. And so Olympus Pro is going really well for the protocol. I'm impressed with it because they take, I think it's 3% of earnings. So, if that keeps growing, $1 million a month, 2 million a month, 5 million a month, because more and more projects start using their bonding mechanism under the Olympus Pro, that's going to be a really nice big source of revenue for the treasury. And of course, for the folks that are holding OHM tokens and rebasing. So some more good news for Olympus DAO. Let's see what else I got. Joe, you got something else you want to reference today?
Yeah. Okay. Just an article. Let me see if I can share this. I'm having some trouble with my big monitor. It doesn't.
So I'm really glad we got that message from. Oh God, now I feel bad. Who sent me that message the other day? That was so nice. Hold on.
Oh, the one about the freewheeling style and all of that?
Yeah. How much they love us. I've got it.
You found it?
Yeah. Okay. So Space Maki.
Are you sharing screen? I'm
just going to read it. DM'd me. Hey, I love the style and content of your show. Thanks a lot. My improvement proposal, : keep it as is, please, all caps, ! The style of open conversation is what I like so much about it. Do not plan too much. Just let the tape roll. So you're not going to have any problem with today's show, pal.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I do all the time. I riff. I mean, it's kind of like
we didn't plan a fucking thing today. Usually I load up a bunch of shit prior to at least talk about. I didn't even do that today.
Well, you know how many times I've been thrown in front of a room not knowing what the hell I'm supposed to say because other people didn't show up, and
Oh,
I
I
just
know.
go with it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what we're doing here. So wherever the winds of destiny send us, we're going.
Oh, I saw this article, Joe.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Yeah. No, it's a big thing about a good article in Cointelegraph on does the IMF had a hidden script for El Salvador Bitcoin, and I don't know. I mean, does the IMF really fear it succeeding? I honestly, I didn't.
So the article, the article really goes into the fact that they are now telling El Salvador to stop calling it legal tender, and that they want them to kill it that way. So essentially, the entire concept gets killed. So I think the IMF is definitely putting on the pressure. It turns out that El Salvador is actually applying for a loan from the IMF right now. So not too brilliant in terms of timing with this concept.
Yeah.
So
okay, it's get the checkbook out, guys. We're going to call it tender, or we'll nickname it. Give me an El Salvadoran hero's name, and we'll call it that.
It's like, oh my God, dude! At least get the loan on the books first, and then make it legal tender. Right now. The other thing that the article talks about the fact is that it may be, so they pull in a lot of IMF experts, and it may be that they're trying to send a message, right? El Salvador is 104th on the countries financially. I don't know whatever the list is, but they're ranked 104th. So the IMF isn't so much worried probably about El Salvador itself having financial problems because they're using Bitcoin, that they are more worried that bigger countries with larger financial prowess may see them doing well with it and decide to do the same. And so what they're trying to say to people is, yeah, probably not a great idea, people. You really shouldn't go down this path because we're not going to look kindly upon it, and you want money from us. And so it's going to be real interesting to see if he gives them the big FU and says, fuck it, we're sticking with Bitcoin. It'll be interesting to see if, they have that whole Bitcoin bond, what do they call it? The volcano bond, the volcano Bitcoin bond, whatever. They've got that running. And obviously everything's taken a hit over the last couple of months with the dump. But it's going to be real interesting to see if he bows under pressure.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like what they're tying to a couple of things. One, this is IMF's part of the post-World War II financial system.
Yep.
And, between that and the World Bank, and it says here 65 countries are pegged their currencies to the dollar. So they're kind of talking about that. I mean, obviously El Salvador is not the largest country in the world. So they're not going to have a big effect on it. But like you said, a contagion. And then something about, if it does become a strong worldwide reserve currency, Bitcoin, the IMF may be deemed a lot less effective and necessary. Well, what the IMF needs to do is buy some Bitcoin.
Right.
And stay necessary.
Exactly.
I mean, it's just innovation, guys. Yep. And you can do it in a way where you still keep your mission and don't lose your jobs. But it seems like 84% ARK, let's see, another ARK investment report issued last January, crypto adoption has soared in the country to 84%-ish.
Yeah, they're saying an 84% adoption rate, but that just means people that used the wallet, right?
Yeah,
but they got $35 handed to them in Bitcoin.
Yeah, but 75% or 70% of the population is unbanked.
Yeah,
they don't have bank accounts. So right. I mean, look, if you want to, this is politics too. $35 is not trivial in El Salvador.
No,
to a agricultural or a remote person that doesn't have access to capital.
Yep.
And they're going to forever conflate that with Bukele. So I think it's actually a brilliant move on his part. Now his odds of getting that loan from the IMF, I think, are basically zero. So I would be pumping up that volcano bond. And aren't they doing some kind of geothermal Bitcoin mining down there?
No, yeah, that's why they call it the volcano bond, because they're mining off the volcano.
Yeah, I'd be going for all of that. So again, I think they'll, and look, what are they getting, $1 billion? Come on. You can't scrape together $1 billion for these guys from the crypto world and do them alone. Ave, where are you? So there's ways, but again, it's just transition stuff. So
yeah.
But interesting article. I think I heard Turkey was contemplating it too. There's a couple of other articles, DAOs and tax considerations. I'm not really going to go through all that.
I just listened to a really good podcast because I didn't know some of the history, and I was really cool to hear it. What Bitcoin did with Peter McCormack, which he's a great guy, Peter is. He's a maxi, but he's still a good guy. He interviewed Austin Hill, one of the founders of Blockstream, also an early cypherpunk, and was involved in a number of the pre-Bitcoin attempts at digital cash. Really fascinating interview. He did 2 interviews with him, one on the singularity and the other on kind of Bitcoin's history and his role in the blockchain wars, the Bitcoin Cash fork, everything that happened on size in terms of Bitcoin and everything else. Really fascinating to understand what happened there. We all kind of heard the hype on both sides. Bigger blocks are better, smaller blocks are better, blah, 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 bullshit. At the end of the day, it came down to technology and what was possible and what was safe. And he talked a lot about the fact that, we all kind of make fun of the fact that Bitcoin moves so slowly, but there's a reason for that. Their approach from an engineering perspective is like NASA or the guys who write code for nuclear facilities, right? And so their approach is, if we break this, we're going to fuck up a lot of people. And so we've got to make sure that we don't. And so everything moves very slowly there. But listening to him walk through the past, the things that made Lightning Network possible, the things that made Layer 2s possible, the whole controversies around Blockstream and everything else about kind of the early people involved was really fascinating. So I would highly recommend everybody check it out. It's Peter McCormack, What Bitcoin Did, and it's Austin Hill on Bitcoin. Really, I learned a lot from it. So.
Yeah, it sounds, I was just thinking about something when you said that, but when we were talking about Assange on Friday,
yes,
Assange now, they're up to 38 million now.
Yeah.
So, but that was pretty interesting. And then,
absolutely.
With something else, and then Venezuelans getting hit by a new Bitcoin tax of up to 20%. But that's because Bitcoin is being used so much in Venezuela. It's not legal tender, but there's lots of Venezuelans in Miami, of course, and you just hear that's how they move the money back and forth. That's how people spend money because I don't know is there currency like the Bolivar or something like
I think so. Yeah.
It's inflating or deflating it at a level that's, hundreds of percent. So it's pretty much worthless.
Yeah.
But that was so they're trying to get some revenue there. This is a good article on tax considerations for DAOs. I'm not going to bore you guys with this. It's from February 6th, Decentralized Autonomous Organizations Tax Considerations. Anybody who's thinking about doing a DAO or investing in them should take a look at it. This was kind of interesting, talking more about, AI driven DAOs and things like that. I have to read this one, but it was definitely, something worth taking a look at. Deep. Go ahead. Sorry.
So I just, so there was I'm going to share my screen, Joe.
Go for it.
So for those of you not familiar with ZachXBT.eth or at ZachXBT, he's the guy that's disclosed a lot of the scams and controversial people in crypto, including he's the one that broke the story about Sifu being Quadriga founder. We were just talking about that Kobe article of identifying the VCs in a project and what their vesting schedules are, what they are, what their history has been on projects, if they do dump or not shortly after funding. And ZachXBT posted the tools that he uses to find it out. Now, one of these Dove metrics we looked at last week, right, which shows what venture capitalists and investors are involved in what projects, which is awesome. But he also shared crypto rank. So I'm assuming within here, public and private sale price unlocks. So assuming somewhere in here is data on the unlocks. I saw a tweet, somebody asking him, where do I find the unlocks on CryptoRank? It tells you the vesting schedule if you search a project. So I guess if you go into a project, it'll actually tell you the schedules on the project. I have no idea. But this is a site I had never seen before, CryptoRank. And there's a lot of data here, Joe. You're going to go bonkers.
What is it, cryptorank.io?
Yeah, cryptorank.io.
Okay.
So evidently you can get, you can search for a project that's raising, right? That's about to do a launch, find it, and then find out the lock schedules for the investors. And then the other one was Cipher Hunter. Open data library and curation tools, helps you understand what's happening in the blockchain industry. So evidently
.io.
This is cypherhunter.com, CYPHER hunter.com.
Got it. Okay.
So let's look up what's somebody that just did a raise. I don't know.
Boy.
I can't think of anything.
Oh no, shit. Who just did 20? We're just talking about somebody that did 20. Oh,
No, that was a private. That was private.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Yeah. Let's see what we find on Solana. Solana team, Solana portfolio. Interesting. Solana investors. So this is a great way to check them out, find out who's investing in a project, who got the early rounds, do they have a history? You can look at the other tools to find out what they've done in other rounds they've been involved in. So really interesting to see that there are some tools here that can really expose it, because this isn't necessarily blockchain data until they make the investment and then somebody has tracked a wallet. But it's very easy for these investors to jump from wallet to wallet, right? So somebody is out there actually tracking to see who does. So go read that Kobe article and then come back and, you know, if you're about to jump in on a launch pad or a sale of some kind, or you've gotten early access to a seed round, you know, come in here and make sure, or early sale, come in here and make sure that the people that are investing in it are the kind that aren't going to dump on you in 2 weeks. So,
yeah.
Anyway, that's dovemetrics.com, cryptorank.io, and cypherhunter.com. That's all I got today, Joe.
Yeah, I got a couple other articles. Well, one I thought was kind of interesting. A big article on can you unshare? Yeah, and I'll reshare.
Yep.
Still says I'm sharing. Hold on.
No, you got to add it back to the space. There we go.
Okay. Oops.
Oh,
can you re-add it for me?
I can't now because you killed it. Go back to share.
Oh, got it. Okay. I just have full screen over here, so it's just taking a second. Okay. All right. The Axie Infinity game. You know, the play to earn.
Yeah.
I play. But talking about how they're taking huge hits. I mean, this looks like a good. I mean, I believe in play to earn as, you know, the future. This is my understanding. I haven't done much here. I've heard everybody talking about it, but
I tried to play with it a couple of times. It was just painful. You know, you got to spend $2,000 just to get in.
Yeah,
used to, maybe not so much anymore.
To mint the characters.
Yeah, to get a character. What's the
now
headline?
There's secondary market. You can get them for like $40. You don't have to mint them, but because people have been dumping, and they talk about the land deals in there, and you know, somebody just bought like $2.5 million in land in the game. Yeah, here a rare plot of land in the game sold for 550 ETH. A single rare Axie monster sold for 369. Well, you know, that was in the past. I think fourth quarter 2021. But they're having problems with their token. Smooth Love portions crashed to about a penny now from 40 cents in the summer. But my read is that this is, you know, I'm
about the norm right now.
Yeah, I'm too. This has all been in the last month. I'm too busy on the other project to start really actively taking stakes right now in these things and worrying about them all night. But this one, you know, it's got a lot of legs. And, you know, to me, these are good entry points if you believe in play to earn and you believe in NFTs.
Well, look, I mean, here's the painful thing about it. And I don't know how all the mechanisms work in it, but there were a lot of people in the Philippines where, you know, $400 or $500 a month can be a living wage, actually can be a very high paying wage. That are dependent on this ecosystem for income because they basically stopped doing everything else and did this.
Mm-hmm.
So when a crash happens like this, this is one of the vulnerabilities in the earn part of the model is how do you sustain your players? How do you sustain their desire to keep playing if they can't earn enough to feed their family? Because from what I understood, the players were working like 16, 18-hour days in the game to earn enough
Mm-hmm.
for a living wage. So when everything dumps and you can't earn that living wage anymore, what they're doing is just selling off the assets they have, hoping to recoup enough to last another month or two. And the problem is they're going to have to come back into it. And then this spills into things like players guilds, right? The Yield
Mm-hmm.
Guild and other guilds that are set up around this, because now their entire model is broken because they were sponsoring people for the high, because the characters were so expensive. So it's really interesting to see. I think at the end of the day that these things will recover, but the next generation of games are going to say, okay, how do we keep a sustainable income stream for people?
Mm-hmm.
How do we make it so that even in the down markets, these things can be produce a steady stream of revenue or enough revenue prior to the down market so people don't give up on it, right?
Yeah.
How do we make it so that they can see that they're earning enough right now that when the market recovers, it'll be worth a lot more, but they have enough from what they earned previously to live on, right? I think that's some of the thinking that's going to start happening in these things is if you have people dependent on you for revenue, how do you make sure that that's sustainable? Because at the end of the day, if they lose all their players and all the demand for their tokens and all the demand for the NFTs in the game, because people can't live on the money they make there, can the game revive itself? Now, there are going to be people that say, hell yeah, I'm going to wait for this thing to bounce. And right now I'm going to buy up everything I can in sight. And when this thing bounces, even if it's a 2X, I can get a ton of revenue by playing all these characters, right? I don't know how that works. I think human beings have to play them all, but then you can ramp up your guilds again. So anyway, look, it makes me sad to hear that there are probably people out there that were living and eating and feeding their families and are not now because of a price collapse in the market. And that's something that we as an ecosystem have to think about.
This has a lot of information in this article. I recommend everybody read it. It's from February 1st in Reason, Reason.com. So it gives good background on, because they kind of tie into like CryptoKitties a little bit, the breeding. And I guess these can only breed 7 times and then they can't breed. And then the cost of that.
This looks like from the headline that these folks are generally opposed when they say because NFT games don't work.
I know it's funny because I always rail. Shit, so I just pulled my headphones out. Hold on.
Is it Reason like a libertarian
for just reading the headlines?
Yeah, is it Reason like a libertarian publication?
I've never read it before. I honestly hadn't.
I think it is
until I saw the article, but lots of good data in it. So check it out. Get a good overview of the space, and it's just like we said, multiple viewpoints.
Yeah, founded in 1968, Reason is the nation's leading libertarian magazine.
Yeah, that's free minds and free markets. So
there you go. Evidently, they're not a fan of the free NFT market.
Well, it's funny. I was talking to my daughter, and over the weekend, she got to me. She goes, "Dad." And I'm like, "What?" And she's like, almost 17. She goes, "A lot of young people don't like NFTs." And I'm like, "Really?" I go, "Why?" And she goes, "Oh, because they say that they're stealing other people's work." And I said, "Well, yeah, some of that goes on. It's a very small part, but it's." And I said, and then the other thing they talk about, I told her, is energy costs, which is another kind of not.
Ask her if she's in the market from a Rolex. I just got back from New York City
for a new Rolex from Chinatown. One of those Rolex? Yeah, I should give you $5 for it.
I mean, kind of my point is,
yeah,
real world, NFT world, it doesn't matter. There are a lot of artists making a lot of money that they weren't making before NFTs.
Oh yeah, no, I explained it to her. I said, look, you're looking at the ones that are doing counterfeiting and things like that, which is a very small amount. And like I remember seeing an artist who was in the Doki platform a little bit, who did all those things with like Pepsi and Coke and Sprite. I can't remember his name. Mert.
Yeah.
But he changes the words and stuff and the colors a little bit, but the art is a unique person. So to me, I don't care at that point for that. I mean, he's not putting logos up. I think the Pepsi he called Bepsi, and Sprite maybe was SP, some other kind of name. But we're talking about, and then of course the Beeple, when he did the real artwork, took a picture, turned it into an NFT, and then he burned the real artwork.
Yeah.
So then it's only existing in that. So again, just like energy costs and Bitcoin mining or minting NFTs, it's not one story. There is so many. Nobody's telling the full truth.
This is more that fucking narrative. There was I'll tell you. Let's go to this guy that this independent game developer called Itch came out with their statement on NFTs. And again, it's that narrative. It's the narrative that's coming from, sadly, the progressive side of my political party, because they're all afraid of crypto, and somebody is driving that narrative. I don't know where it's Warren. I don't know where it started. Well, yeah, but I think somebody else is feeding it. Let me share this. So itch.io, I never heard of them. I guess they think they're a big deal. Independent game company. If you have asked about our stance on NFTs are a scam. If you think they are legitimately useful for anything other than the exploitation of creators, financial scams, and the destruction of the planet, then we ask that please reevaluate your life choices. Peace. So I wrote 2 tweets. They of course blocked replies. So I wrote tag. My first retweet was, so I quote retweeted, and my first quote retweet was "Blockbuster has spoken," and then my second was, "Since the cowards blocked replies, call it exploitation and claim to know how it works. Yet many artists that were starving are now living a bountiful life, and no one exploited them, and they scammed no one. So itch.io has done zero research beyond someone told them NFTs bad." Right? I don't have a problem with you having an informed opinion, but do not put shit out that you are just fucking parroting some other idiot who didn't do the research. Do the fucking research. When you do the research, you won't be saying stupid shit like this, right? You can't. It's impossible.
Well, the 2 things. One, if you look at what like Doki Doki did with their gacha machine, which by the way, I know there's big stuff coming this month to next month on that front with that new. I hope I'm talking public info here, but anyhow, I'll just move on. But there were a couple artists in there that Searlight, which is one of the hugest artists on Foundation and OpenSea right now.
Yeah.
He had nothing when he started, and he made in like 120,000 in like 4 hours on a gacha machine, spinning his original artwork. The problem is that I think this is what it was. The people who are so much leading this propaganda campaign against NFTs and saying it steals the artist are all the people that exploit the artists on commission structures.
Exactly.
And artists don't want to do commissions. They don't want to be indentured servants. Exactly. They want to create what they want to create, and they want to sell it how they want to sell it. So it's really about that group that's trying to maintain monopoly control over creative artists. And they're the ones going after NFTs because it allows the artist cut out the middleman play and go straight to the consumer.
That's right.
Searlight big, Mert, Larry N, a couple other, Tokyo Love. I mean, these guys were struggling artists doing commissions for $50.
Yeah.
And it takes them 4 hours to create something. And then they got to create what the clown who's hiring them says to create. They can't just create anything. And now they have freedom. So that's one thing. 2, look, it's expensive to mint on Ethereum. Okay, flat out it is. But look at the other ones. You can mint on Polygon now, I believe.
Phantom, Avalanche,
Solana, a lot cheaper. I mean, down to like, single dollars to mint. Yep. So, that's a fake argument too. So these people, they're running this stuff just like, Cambridge Analytica was running Facebook data back in 2016 and others, they're manipulating and segmenting people. And so these are propaganda campaigns that are out there. I personally think there's some nefarious people that are just foaming dissent everywhere that just go the opposite on both sides. And the way you support these people spouting bullshit is anybody who clicks on their site or they come in and donate. So, I know of troll farms in Kazakhstan that'll sit there and search for a word if you want to optimize your SEO rating. And they got 40,000 people searching that word all day long. Yeah. And so, of course, you move to the top of Google. You don't think that's going on out of St. Petersburg and Kazakhstan and China and North Korea right now?
Of course.
It is. So do your research.
Yep. Chuck said NFTs used for other purposes, governance, membership, etc., may need to get rebranded. NFTs have the same taint that descended on peer-to-peer when conflated with Napster or BitTorrent. Yeah, I understand where you're coming from, Chuck. I actually think that the revenue and the success stories in this case will far outweigh it because artists that are part of this community will start really speaking up about what it's meant to their lives and how it's freed them from the things Joe was talking about. So I think that this is going to be a different story because it's not when original artists are utilizing this technology to actually make a living. I think it's going to make a big impact on the narrative eventually. I think we're going to have this narrative around though for a bit, and it's going to be painful. But at the end of the day, the people who are doing things responsibly really don't have anything to fear because there's a market that will buy it right now. And at the end of the day, when people, it's just like the game companies who say, I'm never going to put NFTs in my games. Look, every fucking one of those guys is going to have NFTs in their games in the next 3 years. Why? Because it makes them a buttload of fucking money. So,
and it facilitates user engagement, loyalty, all the things you want in a community.
Yeah.
So, again, it's just a lot of misinformation out there. But, I like what Chuck says there too. Beyond collectibles with NFTs. I've heard of people and you can NFT, or I don't know if you can do this, maybe not in the US yet, because I know FinCEN gets a little uptight about this, but I think you can NFT a house and then you can
the first NFT transfer of ownership is happening in Florida this week.
Okay. I heard something about it. We were at that conference too a couple months ago about, a DAO buying a building in downtown Miami.
Yeah.
And so that's where FinCEN's going to shit the bed because, they watch New York and Miami like hawks for foreign money coming in to buy real estate that's, looted money or bad money or whatever.
Right.
And anonymous people buying real estate. That's going to be interesting.
Chuck makes a couple of more good points. I think a token used for governance shouldn't detract from the brand around the art/NFTs.
Yeah.
T is the keyword token, not the NF part. Yeah, I agree with all that, Chuck. I think at the end of the day, any project launching that's appealing to existing players in crypto doesn't have to worry about it. There is no taint. The only taint is external folks that may be using it. And most cases, they would be shielded from that anyway in an interface. But you're right. That's something to consider.
Yeah. And also when you're using an NFT for governance, it's all the other code that's in the NFT. Everybody thinks NFT is just like a JPEG. But, you can have revenue sharing and things like that in there. And,
speaking of which, Superfluid, one of my favorite projects.
All right.
This
is the one that constantly streams, right?
Yeah, they stream funds. Yeah. Just announced streaming into NFTs. So you could tie a revenue stream, a stream of revenue. So Superfluid does, I need to share, don't I? Yeah. Superfluid, it's a tweet. So I'll just talk about it. Streaming to NFTs is one of the newest and potentially most powerful applications enabled by Superfluid. With Superfluid, you can stream tokens over time to an NFT. If the NFT changes hand, the stream is automatically redirected to the new owner. In effect, this means you could charge rent in a stream for the metaverse property. If that property ever is sold, the rent stream would automatically be redirected. But you can do much more. Example, a digital billboard is an NFT. Set up a streaming auction. I mean, there's just all kinds of potential. And I love Superfluid. I love this project. Superfluid does so much to change the way you think about getting paid. When you're streaming, when payment owed to you is streamed to you every minute or every second in increments, it changes things pretty dramatically. So for example, if you take people who are paid, say a minimum wage on a 2-week basis, right? The reason that payday loans have been able to get their claws into people is they don't get their money until the end of the 2 weeks, but they're actually doing the work in between. Well, streaming money to them means that they're not waiting till the end of the 2 weeks to get the money for what they've already done. They're getting it as they do the work, right? So now you're no longer desperate for that money that's going to come in a week and a half after you're 3 days into that 2 week period. You've already got it coming into you, so you can buy food, buy clothing, pay the rent, whatever. And that's just a simple example of how powerful streaming money is. It's really this protocol. I love this protocol, and I think it's going to do some powerful stuff.
Yeah, no, we got to talk more. Were they on Mission DeFi?
Yeah.
Okay, there's an episode there that you guys should look up and listen to too.
Yeah.
But I remember my first job out of college. You show up. I had been having a fun few months bartending in Old Town Alexandria. Staying up all night while I was job searching and meeting.
That's the great thing about waiting tables and bartending is the cash.
Yeah, that's what that's what I was thinking of. So you never, because what happened is I had a job at a tech firm, but that first paycheck wasn't coming until like 4 weeks after I started. There was like a 2 week delay after the pay period. And so that I'm scrambling around with like, $4 in my bank account or something. And, then I picked up a job bartending and, you get everything you want there.
Yeah.
There's plenty of.
This was last month?
Oh, yeah, last month. No, this was like, this was a ways back, I can tell you the bar was the fish market in Old Town Alexandria, right at the bottom of the hill
that's an
by the
interesting
river.
name.
They used to serve these schooners of beer. Now, this might date it, but a schooner of Schaefer there which was a big old like kind of ice cream sundae type. It must have been a quart of beer or something. Was like, I think $2.70.
Fucking A, dude.
That would be like $20. That would be like $20 now.
Shit.
Schaefer was cheap.
$20. People can't get. My wife was just hanging out with a friend of hers who's a wine drinker, and they were at some restaurants, like common chain restaurant, and the glass of wine was like $17.
Yeah.
It's like, what the fuck, man? I'm so glad I don't drink much because.
I kind of cut most of it out myself, just because
or if I'm going to drink, I'm going to buy a bottle of it and bring it home instead of,
You know what the trick is when you're getting a little older, because you can't go back and knock down 12 beers and go to work the next day anymore. 3 beers and the next day you're kind of like duck and cover hiding. So it's like, but what I do is I just start ordering very expensive alcohol. So that way, if you're only going to drink one glass of wine or half a glass of wine, order the most expensive one in there, because why get the cheap shit at that point? It's not like you're drinking 5 glasses.
Well, it depends if you want to drink for taste or you just want to get a buzz, right? Then you go for the Schaefers or the fucking, Schlitz. What else?
But it's
I was a Budweiser drinker my whole drinking career.
Yeah, so I was basically trying this all this super fluid and the money stream.
Yeah, exactly. But, sorry.
But it's a great point because now you don't have to wait, it comes, but also you can tag those streams where they go. So a lot of people are very socially conscious and they want to donate 10% of their salaries or incomes to certain causes.
Yep.
So you could say, okay, I want 2.5% to go to, my daughter's French club trip to Paris fundraising group for next year.
Yep.
And I want 20% to go into her college fund, and I want 5% to go in a savings account for a new car. You can do all that automatically. Because I remember when I was young, of course I didn't do it, but everybody was always like, save 10% of your income and just never touch it. It's you get that check for 2 weeks after you worked, and you got bills that are more than the check at that point. So the saving never really happens at that stage. So this does it automatically for you. So
it allows you to lock it in. And if you think about it in the context of so let's take, for example, the idea of where people are DCAing. Like every Wednesday at 1:00, I want to buy $100 worth of Bitcoin. Right? Yeah. And it hits your bank account off of Coinbase or whatever, and it buys it. Well, now, you talk about dollar cost averaging. If you could stream and every minute, 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever came in, you could buy. Now, of course, it needs to be on a network that's low fee, Polygon, Phantom, Avalanche, right? But if you could stream to buy the protocol that you want to invest in or a whole portfolio and just have it constantly buying at all the varying prices, or you did some automated trading of some kind or yield farming, there's all kinds of cool possibilities with streaming money, Chuck.
Yeah, you could that's what I was just thinking. You could stream it right into like an
just turn this into a meeting.
Protocol.
We're turning this into a meeting.
Yeah, you stream in to buy the BTC, park it at Aave, and automatically pull down. I think they're an 85% LTV on BTC. So if you're streaming in, automatically you're pulling back out 80%. Or Alchemix.
Yeah.
Stream it into Alchemix and pull down those loans you never have to pay back.
Exactly, and live on that money, right?
Yeah.
So if you've got revenue streams coming in from a project, a DAO, a job, whatever, you could automate and set up ways to automate earning from that money as it comes in that don't require you to do anything.
Right.
So,
and that's what the administration is where we always drop the ball. I'm horrible at it.
Me too.
I mean,
you don't make yourself go do it either, right? You don't make yourself go save the money, right? Hey, look at that APY, 2,500%.
Let it ride.
Forget the savings. I'm going right there. Yeah. The latest shiny object.
Yeah, no, it's all these tools. I was thinking about, like, there's these apps out now for, like, I guess teenagers start learning about financial markets and banks and everything. Well, there's a perfect example of how you could, these Superfluid could partner with one of those groups so that, your earnings, maybe your kids have allowances and things like that, where you're streaming right into their spendable accounts.
Yeah.
That they can then use. So really good product, real-time money, continuously coming versus the, arbitrariness of when you get paid and payday loans and all these other anxiety-inducing things. This just makes life easier.
Yep, it really does. So
I'm good.
I'm good, buddy. All right, everybody. Love you all. Thank you so much for listening and watching. Really, really appreciate you being here. Please rate, review us. If you're in your iPod app, click on over to Apple and rate us and review us. Please, please, please. Give us a thumbs up. Subscribe on YouTube. Wherever you get our show, we would love it if you could let other people know about it. And thank you for listening and watching. Joe, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Chuck, thanks for participating. Love having you around, man. And I hope everyone has a wonderful evening. We'll see you tomorrow.
All right, buddy. Hey, can we talk after this?
Yeah.
Real quick.
Yeah, give me 5.
Okay.
Oh, wait. I'll end the broadcast. You stay on.
Okay.
Take care, everybody.
Bye, all.